The idea for this project came from a variety of experiences both my students and I had in our local community. My students and I have talked about things we notice around our neighborhood and school, like seeing people throw trash out their window and into the alleys between buildings. We went on a nature walk right outside our school, where we talked about the bits of trash we saw lying on the ground. On one of our visits to the upper primary building, our school's librarian, Kate, showed us the recycling project upper primary students had been working on. She shared some of their frustrations, like students putting the wrong kind of trash into the bins. We talked about why students might not be using them properly and discussed possible solutions. I think both my students and I had started to recognize some of the problems our school and community faced, and the lack of respect and education some of our students and community members had for the environment. I realized this could be a good focus for my COETAIL final project. One of our science objectives for the year was to help students understand ways to care for the environment. I was also guided by the ISTE standards for students, particularly the standard that asks students to use digital media to communicate and collaborate with other classes around the world, and the critical thinking and problem-solving standard that asks students to identify authentic problems and potential solutions. Other goals I had were for my students to demonstrate collaboration skills when working in a group, as well as to demonstrate more awareness and respect for the environment.
We are recycling.
In my own reading and through COETAIL course material, I had been learning more about the project-based learning approach. I had tried out elements of PBL, but had never really undertaken a project this big with my students. I was really excited to try it out and learn along with my students. I knew there were a lot of students and teachers out there who are already doing some awesome things, so I wanted to reach out and see what they were doing and let my students get inspired. Students came up with questions to ask about what other students and teachers were doing to help the environment. I used my own connections, including classes we had previously Skyped with and done projects with, asking them to help us with our research. We got quite a lot of responses back. Not as many images and video as I'd hoped, but lots of great ideas to inspire us.
It is in Europe. Yes.
Two groups of students stood at different maps and tried to figure out where the respondents were from. Then we looked at Google Earth to see where their school was located and where it was in relation to Myanmar.
Stick it on there.
After we figured out where the class was from, we collected data. That is, we summarized what the other students do on a sticky note and added it to our project bulletin board.
New York.
The kids loved this process, and I could tell how excited they were getting about starting their own projects.
Today we learn about the hemisphere.
In addition to learning about what other students and teachers were doing, we were also deepening our understanding of the problems that face our planet through lessons, activities, and experiments. These lessons were made even more meaningful because students were making so many connections to the data they were collecting for their project. Our environment unit was so much more meaningful as students knew they had a real purpose for learning all of those things. They used what they had learned as well as our project bulletin board to make a web of different ideas to help the environment at our school. Then I held private conferences with them to see what they were most interested in. I tried my best to keep my own ideas and opinions out of the process. I wanted them to decide which direction to take things in. To make our projects more manageable, I put students with similar interests into groups. We hadn't really done a lot of big group projects yet, so I wanted to make sure that we modeled what good collaboration and what good group work looks and sounds like. During our COETAIL unit on visual literacy, I started to get interested in using images and videos to teach social-emotional skills. I had student groups model these strategies, and we took photos and added speech bubbles. We posted these around the room as a reminder for how to work well with a group.
Please recycle.
There were 4 groups of students working simultaneously on different projects. To help us manage this, I incorporated our project into our workstation time so that students rotated through a meeting with me, where I either coached them as they worked or helped them to reflect on how things were going.
First, you need to know socks.
One group wanted to show students how to make crafts out of recycled materials. They drew upon their knowledge of how to write a how-to piece from an earlier unit. They figured out what they needed, gathered materials from home, and made a storyboard for a how-to video. We shot and edited the video together using iMovie. They are currently working on their second craft, a castle made out of paper rolls. They want to share the videos with other lower primary classes, as well as the global classes we've done projects with in the past.
Don't put plastic, glass, or can in the regular bin.
The recycling group was really excited about starting a recycling program in our lower primary building. We discussed why the upper primary students weren't using the bins properly, and they agreed that the signs were not very clear, and that maybe the students simply were confused about how to use them. So they worked on designing a few simple, clear signs with examples of what students could put in the recycling bins. They made a digital version of their design using an app they were familiar with, Pic Collage. Then we printed it out and put it on their bin. They also made a storyboard for a video to show students how to use the bins and filmed it with my help.
Don't put other trash in recycling bin.
We shared the video with all the other classes in our building before putting out the bin.
What kinds of seeds are you planting?
Corn.
3 students were very excited about starting a garden, especially after learning during their research how many other schools had gardens. They decided what they wanted to plant and used their research skills to use Safe Search Kids, figuring out the best ways to grow and take care of that plant.
Holding a bag of crap.
The last group wanted to teach others about how to care for the environment. One pair of students made a video about how recycling works and why people should recycle. Another pair of students wanted to tell people what happens to animals when humans throw trash in their habitats. After a bit of research, they made storyboards and shot and edited their videos with my help.
So have people been using it properly?
Though our projects are all up and running, we were just beginning to reflect on how they went before our break. I was just starting to have conferences with the small groups, using our project rubric to discuss how they did, how well they worked together, and how things have turned out so far. Really though, I see most of their projects as ongoing initiatives that will last at least until the end of the year. I'm hoping we can even figure out ways to keep them going next year. We definitely reached the project goals, though like so many things in education, some of that evidence can't really be measured.
What are you guys making? Out of what?
Everything.
Both parents and I have noticed an increase in students' respect for the environment. Without instructions from me, they've started spending their morning time making recycled crafts out of stuff they bring from home. They notice trash on the ground more often and pick it up. They ask other students to recycle during lunchtime. I think their group work skills also improved quite a lot. I made groups more according to interests than personality, but they were able to set aside differences to work on something they were excited about. I would say parts of this project reached the redefinition level when we used social media tools and Google Forms to get instant feedback on what different schools were doing to help the environment. And when we looked at their school on Google Earth, I felt we were achieving something that wouldn't be possible without technology. They were also able to express their ideas in new ways using digital tools like video and green screens, and we'll be sharing those final products with other classes around the world. We started a shared class blog and used EasyBlog Junior to post about our project and other things we were doing in class. I was amazed at how easy it was for my students to post to our blog, but I think I really need to work on ways to get students to buy into the idea of blogging. One way I'm planning to do that is to become blogging buddies with another COETAILers class that is also working on an environment unit.
Wait, did we get another one? Yes!
I was really happy how this project incorporated so many skills from different disciplines and provided an authentic way to apply what we were learning in all subjects.
How long do you think it would take a diaper to decompose in a landfill?
I've gotten so much out of COETAIL, but I've especially learned a lot from others in the program. Their involvement and inspiration throughout this project demonstrated to me the power of a PLN. I learned that I need to just let go more often and give students more control. Often I think teachers find it difficult to put that kind of trust in students, but my own students surprise me with their ideas, their initiative, and their technology skills. Projects are a good chance to let students show you what they can do, and they are so much more engaged when it's up to them what direction to take things in.